lastly, the election in South Korea recently.
Yes.
There was a great deal of speculation in the media about what this was going to mean in terms of how a moon victory would be read by Pyongyang and what China might think about it. What are the ripple effects of this election?
Well, we don't quite know yet. I mean, most of the issues that matter most for his election are domestic. The economy and the unemployment rate, particularly among the youth, is a big, big, big issue. Trust and fighting corruption and privilege is another big issue. So there are lots of things on his plate that are central. Secondary is foreign affairs. But there, he's made it very clear he would like to see what he can do without being under, quote-unquote, the pressure of the United States. To be an equal in determining what the policy will be towards North Korea. And I think, given his past engagement in a previous administration pushing what was called the Sunshine Policy, you're going to see efforts to try to do a deal, do negotiations, to reopen an economic zone where essentially the South pays the North Korean salary to make things, which actually is technically in violation of UN sanctions resolutions, but he thinks he can go ahead and do all this. I think it's unclear how far he can go. And the reason why is North Koreans may not be that welcoming. And he cannot look weak. He only won 40 or some odd percent of the vote. The rest was conservative. It was just divided. If he wants to have a lasting political legacy, he cannot ignore the sentiment of people who do not share his view on this. They're the majority probably in the country, or darn near. So, I think we'll take a look. I think he's said a number of things, but what he'll do may be different. There's one area, though, that I think is very interesting that's not been covered. His views towards civil nuclear power. He's not wild about it. He wants to stop building. I didn't know, but he's Catholic, and the Catholics, particularly the Jesuits in the country, are totally against nuclear power development. Watch that box. Why? Well, if South Korea starts backing off the expansion of nuclear power, that then means the only country that's really pushing it in a practical manner, China. I don't know whether people noticed, but we just agreed to allow major American natural gas prospecting engineering firms in to find and prospect for natural gas in mainland China. And the reserves there are epiphenomenally large. They're hard to get at. I don't know if they can find this stuff economically, but if they do, with all their neighbors, see, Taiwan's trying to get out of the nuclear business entirely. Japan's flat on its tail, trying to restart. They only have 3 reactors operating. And if South Korea turns its back on nuclear power, that tells quite a powerful story. In the United States, things are going south with regard to nuclear power as well. Big problems here. And Europe, I don't need to explain. So that may have some consequences for the build-out in China. I mean, they're thinking that they're going to build so many reactors they need to reprocess and have breeders because they're going to run out of uranium. We've heard that before. It doesn't sound right at all. Maybe this is part of the corrective, so watch. That'll be interesting to look at.
Well, thanks, Henry. I really appreciate it.
Okay.